So is Utah worth the move? If you're looking to make the move to Utah, you're going to want to know all of the pros, but also the cons about moving to and living in the state of Utah. I love discovering all of the answers to your questions to make sure that I can give the best proper advice and guidance so that you have the specific answers that you're looking for so that you can make the decision that's best for you. And ultimately, not only do I want to talk about what are Utah's greatest strengths, but what are the weaknesses or what are the things that you need to know if you're looking to make the move here yourself. Okay, and I'm going to kind of take the sandwich approach. I'm going to sandwich everything together in this video with respect to the pros and the cons. It's not going to be talking about each point separately and independently because I believe that they're kind of intertwined with one another. And so I'm going to sandwich everything together, intertwine both the pros as well as the cons of living in Utah as I discuss the different talking points. Okay, let's begin with what are Utah's biggest draws for new residents that are making the move here? Well, number one, it's jobs. It's the economy, it's job opportunities, it's low unemployment. It is the rapidly rising wages here in Utah, even though for many people, especially if you've lived here your whole life, does not quite feel the same because if you're earning a lower wage, it doesn't feel like they've even remotely kept up with inflation. But income is on the rise here in Utah, and the job opportunities are abound more so here in Utah than most every other state in the nation. So that is certainly one of the biggest draws for the state of Utah. Coming in at number 2 on the list in terms of the major draws that bring people here are the outdoors. It's the outdoor recreation opportunities. It's the greatest snow on earth. It's skiing, it's snowmobiling, it's mountain biking in the summer, it's boating in the summertime. It's all of the things that Utah provides, from its 5 national parks to its 40+ state parks, as well as all of the other really cool things throughout the state of Utah that you get to experience right here in your backyard. And so it's those two things that are the 2 biggest draws for bringing people into the state of Utah. But I want to add a third. And the third thing is the political environment. It's the family-centric communities, and it's everything that Utah provides that's maybe not quite as tangible. And this is really appealing for a lot of the people that are looking to make the move here, especially if they're coming from other states like California. They're looking for a new environment to raise their family, or maybe they're retiring, or perhaps they're just looking for a new and different lifestyle altogether. Utah's a great place for those people as well. All right, so let's talk about job opportunities first and foremost. What are the industries in Utah that are bringing the most people in? Well, it's tech, it's aerospace, and it's healthcare. It's also financial services, as well as small business owners that are looking to expand their businesses. But those are the 3 sectors in Utah that are growing the fastest, and that a lot of people that are making the move here are looking to work in those fields. And because of that, it's naturally increasing those opportunities, especially in certain areas that are really concentrated where most of the growth is happening. And the number 1 fastest growing area in Utah is Utah County in the Provo metropolitan area along the northern edge up against Salt Lake County, where you can find the cities of American Fork and Lehigh and Highland and Saratoga Springs and Eagle Mountain. These are some of the fastest growing places in the entire state of Utah. And part of that reason is because they're coming to work in the tech industry or healthcare or even aerospace. There's a lot of cool things happening in Utah's economy that's not just centered around its tech scene. There are other industries that are thriving here, from advanced manufacturing to research and science. There's so many things happening in Utah's diverse economy, and Utah's economy, in my opinion, is just as diverse as is its landscape. And that's saying something because Utah's landscape is breathtaking, yes, but it's also incredibly diverse. And I like to marry these 2 things together because when you're talking about the opportunities and the jobs along with the outdoors, it's just a really good description to bring those together because they are so diverse. And when we talk about the outdoors specifically, a lot of people are looking for the lifestyle that southern Utah provides. Maybe it's the more desert landscape, maybe it's palm trees and golfing in the wintertime. Well, Utah's got that, but it's also got 5 national parks. It's also got the higher alpine mountainous terrain here in the Rocky Mountains along the Wasatch Front or the Wasatch Back. There are so many cool things that you can experience if you live in pretty much any place in Utah. Within 30 minutes, you're in the outdoors, which is really cool. Now, one of my personal favorite things to experience in Utah is not just its national parks and not just its state parks, but there are so many cool places to explore outside of those things. I think that one of the coolest places in Utah to explore is the San Rafael Swell. There are some really cool slot canyons, including Little Wild Horse. There's some really cool hieroglyphics there as well. And so if you're looking for a diverse landscape, Utah is second to none. There's so many cool places to explore, and I've created videos about these things as well, so check them out. You can find those videos on the channel. But if you're looking for more of a diverse landscape than where you're coming from, there's probably nowhere better than Utah. So with Utah's popularity, what are the cons with respect to its outdoors? Well, if you're looking to get into the outdoors in some of the most popular trails or the most popular attractions closest to the metropolitan areas, they're likely going to be more crowded. If you're looking to hike Mount Timpanogos and up to Timpanogos Cave in the summertime in the peak season, you're going to have more people there. If you're looking to hike the trails closer to Salt Lake City and it's the most accessible trail around, of course, you're going to have more traffic, more people that are enjoying the outdoors. But honestly, if you just get 20 to 30 minutes further, you're greatly going to diminish the number of people that you're competing with to enjoy the great outdoors, which is really cool. Utah's got everything within an hour. You can really be alone and find seclusion in some trail. It just may not be the most popular trails. All right, next up, let's talk about the communities here in Utah. So many people that are making the move here are concerned about what does it look like for them to fit into the local community. And of course, with this comes the topic of conversation centered around the predominant faith or religion here in Utah in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or as most people call them, Mormons, because it is somewhat of a concern if you're looking to make the move here and integrate your life and your family and your children. You want to know what it's really like. And even though Utah is one of the most family-friendly places in the entire country, as well as friendly people overall, you might find some difficulty fitting into some neighborhoods, and you're going to want to make sure that where you're moving is going to be appealing for you. Now, as a real estate agent, I cannot give you guidance as to which neighborhood to go to based on religion, but what I can do is give you some really good resources that are going to help guide you through that process to make sure that you're finding the right home for you as well. And if you look at the comments in my YouTube videos, you'll see some people are really negative about it, some people are really positive about it, and ultimately you've just got to make your own decision for yourself. And I do make it a point to reply to each and every comment here on my YouTube channel. And when somebody does say something that's not true, I'm absolutely going to call it out. I'm going to put the truth in the comments. And so you're going to see that throughout all of my videos here on the channel. And I would encourage you to drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Give me some real comments to dive into to make sure that we're giving relevant information, not only for you, but for future viewers as well, because I find a lot of enjoyment in making sure that I'm answering your specific questions. And so I do put Utah's communities and its family-friendly environment as a really big positive, but there are certain things that you're going to want to consider for your children or for yourselves as well, that we can make sure that we give you that guidance. Now, moving on, I want to talk about the rapid growth that we've experienced here in Utah. We've seen incredible growth. Real estate prices have gone through the roof. I do believe that we've got to get this under control to make sure that real estate costs don't continue to rise at the rate that they have in the last handful of years, which of course is slowing down, which is awesome for future generations, but we've got to make sure that we maintain a place where future generations can live as well with affordable housing. And so affordable housing can be one of the big negatives here in Utah. With the incredible appreciation in real estate, it has made Utah less and less affordable over the years. And this also places an impact and immense burden on first-time homebuyers. If you've already purchased your home and you've got equity in that home that you can then transfer and purchase the next home and move up in home, it's one thing, but first-time buyers typically bear the brunt of this appreciation, and they don't get to take advantage of that. So my encouraging words are, you can still buy a home here as a first-time home buyer. We've got really good tools and resources to help you and guide you to make sure that you're getting into the market so that you can take advantage of those future waves of appreciation that will inevitably come as well. Okay, the next thing that I want to highlight is the unique options that Utah provides in terms of living situations. And to me, that means we have one of the best mixes between the suburban, the urban, and the rural lifestyles, all within about an hour of a major metropolitan area. It doesn't matter where you live, you're going to have options and you're going to have access to not only the great outdoors, but the city as well. Now, on the flip side of that, it can feel like it's kind of condensed. In other words, although Utah is a pretty large state geographically speaking, there's a lot of federally owned land here. There's also a lot of protected land in the form of national parks or national monuments or recreational areas, but there's also a lot of unusable land west of Salt Lake City in the West Desert, especially where you find the salt flats. A lot of that land is just not inhabitable. And so what looks like a large state in the state of Utah is actually a much smaller region where we can actually populate and develop those areas and grow. And so even though we have this really cool, diverse ability to have the urban, the suburban, and the rural lifestyles, it can feel like things are getting a little crowded. And so as Utah continues to grow, even though we have nowhere near the population, and although we don't have the population that a lot of the states do, where a lot of our new residents are coming from, whether it be California or Texas or Florida, or even Arizona, some of these states have higher populations. We do have some of those same struggles, even though it looks from the outside that we have this massive amount of land and so far fewer people. We still have those struggles, and it's real. And one of the places that those struggles really manifest themselves is with traffic. Now, Utah's cities traffic is considerably better than most similar sized cities or larger cities. It still has that strain on the local residents where we've been used to one thing and now we have something else. So the daily commute times average in the Salt Lake City metropolitan area is now up to 22 minutes, which is of course better than most major metropolitan areas, especially out in the western United States, but we still have struggles. And this is one of those things that just comes as a growing pain with a growing economy. I will add, however, that the Utah Department of Transportation has gotten considerably better in its planning of future infrastructure needs, and I see that along the west side of Salt Lake County as well as Utah County and up into Davis and Weber counties as well. I see this future development and future growth being met with the infrastructure that's being built out to support that growth as well. Okay, so it's wintertime in Utah. It's December right now, just before Christmas, and air quality is always a top concern here in Utah, as we oftentimes get inversions settling in where the temperatures of the air, they invert. In other words, the cold air gets trapped below the warmer air, and with that, the pollution tends to sit in the valleys here along the Wasatch Front. And honestly, just last week, we had a really terrible inversion that lasted about 7 to 8 days until that next storm front came through and that weather pattern pulled all of that pollution out. So as we left our homes on Monday, the skies were blue and perfectly clear. It was beautiful, but sometimes those inversions really settle in, and it's honestly one of my least favorite things about living in the state of Utah. We typically see about 2 weeks worth of inversions throughout each and every winter season, and sometimes in the summertime we can be impacted by wildfires, whether they're coming from Idaho or California or the Northwest. We can still get bad air quality in the summertime as well if there's wildfires burning out west. Now, to a great degree, there's not a lot we can do about geography. We can't help the fact that we have these massive mountains trapping the air right in front of this Wasatch Front here where we live, but what we can do is control how much pollutants we put into the air. So with the advancements in technology with automobiles, as well as buildings that are major contributors to the pollution that we have in our environment, as well as the closure of Geneva Steel and some power plants and other heavy contributors to our pollution, Utah's air has actually gotten considerably better since the 1990s. The pollutants, the particles in the air, are about half as bad as they were in the 1990s. It doesn't mean that we don't have more room for improvement, but what it does mean, despite the growth that we've seen here in Utah, the air has gotten considerably better. But with that better air, it doesn't make those inversions any less important. We still experience those inversions in the wintertime, and I want to make sure that I'm not only highlighting the great things about living in Utah, but the worst things as well. And while we're talking about some of the worst things, let's talk about nightlife, let's talk about alcohol laws. Those are other things that some people find that are really negative about living in Utah. Personally, I don't care. I don't think it really matters in my life, but if it's important to you, as they always say, nobody ever moved to Utah for its nightlife, so it might not be the right place for you if that's something that's really important. All right, let's talk about cost of living differences between Utah and other neighboring states or other states that you might be coming from. Most of the people that we're seeing move to the state of Utah are coming from states like California and Arizona and Texas and Florida, New Jersey, Michigan, New York. Many of those states have higher cost of living, and some of those states have higher real estate costs as well. In some places like Texas, despite the fact that they have lower real estate costs, they have tremendously high property taxes. But there's all these different pros and cons that come into each and every economy, and tax base and cost of living affects everybody. And Utah ranks almost dead in the middle of all 50 states. We're ranked 24th in the country with respect to cost of living. Our biggest negative is, of course, housing, but other areas of our life here in Utah are considerably less expensive than most other places that people are moving from. So whether that be utilities, utilities or groceries or food. Some of these things, despite the fact that we've experienced tremendous inflation just like the rest of the nation, it's still less expensive here in Utah than a lot of places that people are moving from. And I always really enjoy having conversations with real people as they reach out to me and they're making the move here. We get to sit and contrast and compare the different tax rates and the different expenditures that you're going to realize, whether that be utilities or groceries or pet care or whatever the case may be. All of these things play into what is it going to be like living in Utah. And ultimately, as I'm helping many people make the move here, they're realizing that a lot of these costs are lower than from where they're coming from. I do, however, believe that the cost of living in Utah needs to be addressed, and that specifically is the case with real estate. I hope that this affordable housing crisis that we're experiencing, not only in Utah, but throughout the country, is something that we on a local level can really truly address and make considerable change so as to protect Utah's future and our future generations in their ability to live out the American dream and have home ownership here as well. Okay, weather. Sometimes people look at our weather here in Utah and they just cringe. Some people love it. I personally love the weather in Utah, and I love the variety that we get in our 4 seasons. We get 4 seasons in Utah, and most places where people are coming from, they don't quite get the same experience. Now, of course, we have cold winters, and of course, we have hot summers. But because we're a more dry, arid climate, in fact, we're the second driest state in the entire nation, it makes the cold not as cold, and it makes the hot not as hot. And so it makes it more bearable. So despite what the temperature reads, it's not as bad as many of the places that people are moving from because of the lack of humidity. And of course, that plays in a role in other areas of your life as well. And you're going to have to adjust to the weather if you're coming from somewhere where you're just not used to the winter weather, but you're also going to have to adjust to the altitude. But naturally, your body's going to do that. It takes about a month for your body to adapt to the higher altitude here. But as you do so, you're also going to notice other things that come into play. For example, in the wintertime, your skin is going to crack more. You're going to have different routines to make sure that you're taking care of yourselves in this new climate and this new environment. Okay, one of my favorite things to talk about Utah specifically is how easily accessible it is to get away for the weekend. What do I mean by that? Well, if you look at a map of the western United States, Utah and Salt Lake City specifically is very centrally located to all of these places that you can go explore. So if you're looking for a quick getaway and you want to bounce over to Denver, or you want to go up to Boise, or you want to make it up to the Northwest in Seattle or LA or San Francisco or Phoenix or Vegas, there are a lot of cool places you can get to without having to take a long flight, and those flights can honestly be fairly cheap depending on which airport you're flying out of. Now, I will add that the Salt Lake City International Airport, which is one of the most expensive airports ever built in the United States of America, is a beautiful new airport. It is awesome, but it can be one of the more expensive airports to fly out of. But we do have other airports that are regional airports that you can fly out of very cheap. So depending on which city you're going to, we do have a lot of clients that are coming here and visiting, and they're choosing to fly into, for example, the Provo Regional Airport as opposed to the Salt Lake City International Airport because they're coming in to shop for a home, and it's just a quick flight. Within an hour and 15 minutes, you can be at all these different cities in the western United States. And that is precisely why Salt Lake City has been given the nickname as the crossroads of the West. It truly is kind of a crossroads to get anywhere in the western United States, which makes it a really good distribution point, not only for people, but also other commodities and products and services, which is really cool. Okay, I want to offer some really good tips to finding out if Utah is the right place for you to move to. Maybe you're watching this video and you've already made the decision to move here. Maybe you're exploring the concept of a job opportunity here, or maybe a relocation. Whatever the case may be, Utah has a lot to offer. But what I like to offer people that are reaching out to me, I want to make sure that I give you the best possible tips and resources to make sure that this is the best place for you. In doing so, I have a team of people that back me up, that help me along the way to make sure that I can provide the services and the answers to your specific questions, regardless of what topic it might be in, to make sure that we're giving the best possible guidance. I also have resources both with real estate and also outside of the real estate spectrum with respect to education and healthcare and other things that are going to be of the utmost importance if you're looking to relocate your family across state lines and come into the state of Utah. Or if you already live here and you're looking to make a move, I have resources for you as well. And one of those things that I love to do for people is to help analyze what is your property value if you're looking to move from one place to another, really dialing in and giving you proper valuations for your property to make sure that you're making a really wise decision for yourself is paramount. It's something I take very seriously. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Scott Steele, and I'm a local real estate agent and broker here in Utah, and I love helping people just like you. And of course, my team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. Please reach out to us and subscribe to this channel for more video content just like this to answer your specific questions. I do notice that about 87% of the people that are watching my videos are not subscribed. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button so I can reach more people just like you, but also so that you can see these videos as I release them each and every week. We hope to talk to you soon, and you can also, if you so choose, book a video call in the link on the pinned comment on this and every video. And if you're looking to explore more about life in Utah, check out this playlist next. And until next time, thanks.